My sister and I hated each other until we found Mom's second phone. 200 texts to Dr. James. He's not a real doctor. He's her stepbrother. I found the phone behind our washing machine on a Wednesday morning while looking for my missing work scrubs. Purple case, cracked screen, 47 unread messages lighting up when I picked it up. My sister Natalie and I had spent 23 and 25 years respectively trying to destroy each other over grades, guys, and Mom's attention. But when I saw the name Dr. James with a stethoscope emoji and opened the first message, our war ended instantly. Missing you already. Last night was incredible. Can't wait until next weekend when your husband is in Chicago again. I screenshot it with shaking hands, texted Natalie who hated me, and wrote 4 words that changed everything. Found Mom's affair phone. She arrived at our house in 12 minutes, which meant she'd run at least 3 red lights from her downtown marketing job. I met her at the door with the phone and watched her face go from suspicious that this was some elaborate prank I was pulling to pale white as she scrolled through messages. The texts weren't thousands going back years like you'd expect from a long affair. There were exactly 200 messages, all from the past 6 weeks, starting the day after Mom came back from Grandma's funeral. Every single message was explicit, detailed, planning their next meeting. Dr. James talking about missing her touch, about hotel rooms, about how wrong this was but how right it felt. Mom responding with equal intensity, saying she'd waited 30 years to feel this way again. Natalie's hands shook as she scrolled. This just started 6 weeks ago, after the funeral. She looked at me with confused horror. Who goes to their grandmother's funeral and starts an affair? I took the phone back and kept reading. That's when I found the message that made everything worse. Mom had written, "I can't believe after all these years you're still Jamie. Still my Jamie. Even if we're not supposed to be." Dr. James had responded, "We were never really siblings. Our parents' marriage doesn't make what we feel wrong." I looked at Natalie. Dr. James isn't a doctor. It's Jamie, Mom's stepbrother from when Grandma was married to his dad, the one she grew up with from ages 12 to 17. Natalie grabbed the phone and scrolled faster, finding the message where Mom had saved his contact as Dr. James with the stethoscope emoji. It was deliberate misdirection in case anyone saw the name on her phone. Jamie had joked about it in one text, saying, "At least if someone sees you texting Dr. James, they'll think you have a medical issue, not that you're sleeping with your stepbrother." Mom had responded with a laughing emoji and, "You always were clever. That's what I loved about you when we were kids." Natalie looked like she might be sick. They knew each other as kids. They lived in the same house as teenagers. This isn't just an affair, this is incest. I wanted to argue that technically it wasn't incest since they weren't blood related, but the semantics didn't matter. Mom had grown up with Jamie as her stepbrother from age 12 to 17. They'd lived in the same house, eaten at the same table, been raised by the same parents, even if those parents weren't biologically theirs. And now, 30 years after their parents' marriage ended in that violent divorce Mom never talked about, they'd reconnected at Grandma's funeral and immediately started sleeping together. The wrongness of it sat heavy in my stomach. Natalie kept scrolling and found messages about their teenage years. Jamie writing, "I wanted you even then, but we were kids and it was impossible." Mom responding, "I used to lie awake knowing you were just down the hall and hate myself for what I was thinking." This has been building for 30 years. Natalie's voice was hollow. They had feelings for each other when they were teenagers living in the same house, and now they're acting on it. She found another message where Mom talked about how she'd married Dad at 21, partly to get away from the confusing feelings she had for Jamie. How she'd spent her whole marriage wondering what might have been if their parents hadn't divorced and split the family apart. Jamie had told her he'd gotten married twice trying to forget her, but no one ever compared. These weren't just affair messages. These were messages from 2 people who believed they were soulmates kept apart by circumstance and social taboo. I took the phone and scrolled to the beginning, reading the first message Jamie had sent 6 weeks ago. "Saw you at the funeral today. You're still the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I know this is crazy, but I had to tell you." Mom's response came an hour later. "I've thought about you every day for 30 years. I need to see you." They'd met for coffee 2 days later. The messages showed them talking for hours, sharing their marriage's failures, confessing feelings they'd both buried for decades. By the end of that first coffee, they'd agreed to meet at a hotel. The affair had gone physical within a week of reconnecting. Every message after that was planning logistics, stealing moments, expressing feelings that had been suppressed since they were teenagers. But what made my stomach turn wasn't just the affair or the step-sibling connection. It was a message from 3 weeks ago where Mom told Jamie, full story on my channel and linked below.